What's up, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Instant Reaction presented by Sony here on the Colts Audio Network and on YouTube. I'm JJ Stankevitz, joined every week by Colts Ring of Honor wide receiver Bill Brooks to break down the Colts' latest game. Bill, the Colts are 23-20 losers to the Houston Texans at NRG Stadium in Houston on Sunday. The Colts fall to 4-4. They are now effectively 3 games behind the Houston Texans, who are at 6-2 and have the season tiebreaker over the Colts. Got a lot to get into with this game. Another game that comes down to the last possession, to the final moments. But I think, Bill, you got to start with Anthony Richardson and the day that he had. He goes 10 of 32 in this game. In the first half, he was 2 of 15. I don't think I've ever seen a stat line that's looked like that in the first half of the game. Before we get into kind of the nitty gritty of it, though, Bill, I went in that locker room at NRG Stadium on Sunday, and I heard from DeForest Buckner, from Jonathan Taylor, just, Mo Alley Cox, some of these other guys in there. And Anthony Richardson has not lost this locker room. This locker room is still behind Anthony Richardson. They know what kind of the deal is, that, hey, this is a process of getting this guy up to speed, but they know that for this team to go where they believe they can and where they want to go, they need to be Anthony Richardson at quarterback. So, Bill, I want to start with your perspective as a former player where, I mean, look, Anthony Richardson struggled today, and he's had some issues across this season. But when you look at it, how do you kind of zoom out as a player and see the bigger picture when maybe Anthony Richardson right now is not the reason why the Colts are winning games or contending to win games?
Well, what you do is as a teammate of Anthony's, you see how much work he's putting into it. You see what he's doing in the week of practice. You see what he's doing in the weight room. You see what he's doing in the film room, studying, doing all the things that he needs to do to hopefully go out and play well on the football field. So you understand that all those guys are working hard. And then, as a rookie, sometimes it's going to be a little bit difficult. All those guys have been rookies at some time or another, and they've had a struggle during the season, or not even just rookie season, but even as a veteran, they've struggled, and they know what it's like. So right now, the thing that they can do to help Anthony is support him, be behind him, knowing that, hey, look, they went through it as well. And they can kind of relate some of those stories that they had when they were rookies and how they got through it themselves. Now, all of them aren't quarterbacks. They didn't play the quarterback position, so it's a little different. But what they can do is support him. And if the teammates can support him and be with him and give an understanding that they know what he's going through, it can help and help him hopefully to continue to work and work and work. And eventually, hopefully he comes through, he breaks through. And then once he gets that aha moment, then I think everyone will see how good he can be and how good he will be and what he can bring to the team. So the guys are going to support him. They're going to be behind him and push him on to hopefully so he won't get down on himself, but eventually just break through and have the type of season that they think he can have.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen for this Colts team to kind of take off this year. And
Mhm.
you get the sense that there's that everyone in that locker room believes they individually can do more to help Anthony out, whether it's on defense. Hey, let's get some more turnovers. Let's finish some more sacks. Let's kind of make those explosive plays to give Anthony a short field. That's something that Zaire Franklin talked about last week after the Colts Dolphins game. Or on offense, hey, if Anthony's throwing us the ball and it's within kind of a catchable area, let's go make that play instead of
Yes.
letting a defensive back knock the ball down. So there's a lot of accountability. There wasn't a lot of I've been in locker rooms, Bill, where you can sense there's not a belief in the quarterback. I was in the Bears locker room in 2017 in Green Bay when you just could sense, even if no one was out and out saying it, that team was like, Mike Glennon's not the guy. We got to get him out of here. And I don't get that sense from this Colts team that because like you mentioned, Bill, it's the work that he puts in. They know how much it matters to Anthony. They see how much it matters and how much he puts into it. So they're going to ride with him, even if maybe the results are not quite there yet, knowing that if we ride with this guy and he hits, oh my gosh, we're going to be awesome. But you don't want to bury the guy after his 10th career start, where effectively, Bill, yeah, it's his second year, but in terms of game experience, he's still in his rookie year.
Exactly. And you want to be a team. And that's what teammates do. You pick people up. You don't tear them down. You pick people up and you're in this together. It's one team together. Even though you have an offensive team, you have a defensive team, you have special teams, they're all in it together. You talk about complementary football, well, they all play well together when they're doing their job together. And it's only going to make everyone else's job easier if they're playing together. So they know they need to support Anthony. They know they need to get behind Anthony and just encourage him to keep on going out there, keep on working. A lot of times you can have a great week of practice and it might not show up in the game that week, but maybe 2, 3 weeks down the road, it shows up. So just keep on pushing, keep on encouraging the young man, and eventually it will break through, and eventually they will see all the things that he's worked on. And then once they see that, they'll see the results as far as all the work that they all have put together in for the week of practice and for the season.
All right, so let's talk about this game, Bill. The first half, like I mentioned, Anthony Richardson goes 2 of 15. That first completion he had was a screen to Jonathan Taylor. The second completion he had was that 69-yard touchdown to Josh Downs, where Downs gets open. Colts run a little scissors concept. Jalen Petrie, who's on Downs, runs into Alec Pierce. It was not a pick play. It was
No.
just kind of happened. And Downs gets wide open for a touchdown. Again, 69 yards. It was funny, Bill. I was asking Downs after the game. I was like, as someone who has not caught a ball where I'm just wide open and like I know I'm going to get a touchdown, like what's going through your head? And he was like, those are moments where you can get like a focus drop where it's like, I know if I catch this ball, I'm going to score. And all of a sudden you're thinking about scoring instead of reeling in the pass. Have you ever had a catch like that where you're just like, oh, where is everyone?
Yeah, when you're wide open like that, sometimes those are the toughest catches to make. And as Josh said, sometimes you forget to go through your basic fundamentals of making sure you watch the ball into your hands, getting the ball in your hands, tucking it away, and then running with it. A lot of times you think about, oh, since I'm so wide open, I know someone's coming. I got to catch it and run. And then you take your eye off the ball for a split second, and that's when you bobble it and drop it, or you just plain drop it. So sometimes those are the most difficult catches. So it's good to see Josh just go through his fundamentals, catch the ball, turn up the field, and just take it to the house. And I'm glad he did that because at times it can be it can seem like the play is taking so long for the ball to get there when you know you're that wide open. And sometimes you do drop it. But fortunately for Josh, he made the catch and he took it to the house. Nice play by the whole team. I think it's a
Mhm.
great concept with the rub there, so to speak, a natural rub there. And Josh got wide open and took it to the house.
Anthony also had a little bit of pressure on his face on that from Foley Fatukasi. So, just an all around really good play, obviously, really impactful play early in the game. But even kind of segmenting it off, Bill, the first quarter, Anthony Richardson was 1 of 7, but I didn't feel like he was making bad decisions. Like the throws that he was making, it was either you saw a great play by a Texans defender, you saw a ball hit a Colts player in the hands and it wasn't completed, or you saw like then that one to Jonathan Taylor. I didn't feel like it was like he's spraying these misses. I can't believe he took that as an option. It was like, no, he's got one-on-one a bunch and he's going up and trying to let his receivers and his tight ends go make plays. They just weren't able to do it for a number of reasons. I kind of thought early on, okay, yeah, we might have something here, but then I think as the game went on, Bill, there just weren't enough of those kind of easy completions built into this to kind of get him going. And the run game was a little bit stagnant early on. So just kind of a little bit disjointed in the first half, I would say.
Yeah, like I said, some of those throws, his first couple of throws, I thought they were good decisions, as you said, and I thought they were good throws. But give the defense of the Houston Texans credit. They had some tight coverage at times there, and they made some good defensive plays there to bat the ball down. But I think sometimes what happens when you don't see the ball being completed, you kind of maybe push a little bit more to try to get the ball in there, try to make some throws that probably you shouldn't make. I think that's one of the things that might have happened later on in the game. But I think, you know what, early on, you did see him make some good decisions. And to me, that is a step forward. When you see him making good decisions, even though the balls weren't completed, I thought he made some good decisions.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just have to take those little wins like that and hopefully build on those. And hopefully in the future, he can build on those. But in this game, it didn't happen that way. And, the bottom line is the Colts lost this game. And unfortunately, it was against a division opponent.
Yeah, and really, Bill, to me, the biggest play this entire game was the interception that Richardson threw at the end of the second quarter. They took over possession with a minute to go on I believe it was the 5 yard line. And
Mhm.
they run the ball on first down. So you get, a decent chunk of time comes off the clock. Jonathan Taylor gains 7 yards. On second down, Richardson throws to Michael Pittman Jr. Kamari Lassiter almost picks that pass off. It's kind of a narrow miss there. And then on third down, the Colts go empty. Richardson gets to the line. He's looking for a certain defensive look from the Texans. This is what he told us after the game, Bill. He's looking for a certain coverage from the Texans. He doesn't get it, so he kills the play and checks to something else. Houston goes into zone coverage, and really the only place Richardson can throw that ball is kind of a tight window to Josh Downs. And when I went back and watched it, he's right. There's really nothing else on that play. So he's got to rip that throw to Downs. Jalen Petrie reads it. He makes a great play on the ball, picks it off. Texans take over at the Colts 7 yard line, and they get a touchdown on the next play. Houston did not trail after that point. The Colts also did not even tie the game after that point in the football game. So, a situation Shane Steichen told us, Bill, after the game, he was trying to be aggressive there,
Mhm.
trying to, hey, let's go down and get some points like we did last week against Miami. But ultimately, the result of this one turned out to be a game that I do kind of feel like flipped the outcome, or at least the momentum in this
Yes.
football game.
Yeah, I thought it was a big momentum swing in favor of the Houston Texans once they got that interception, especially down there, so close to the end zone where they could score very easily. And I thought it just swung the momentum. If maybe the Colts could have went in there without, just without giving up that interception and Houston scoring, things would have been different maybe going into the second half. But Houston got it. They took advantage of it. They got the interception and then took it in for a touchdown after some plays after they picked it off. So it was a big momentum swing. But you know what the thing is that the Colts had the whole second half, but I thought that play really changed the complexion of the game moving forward from that point on.
So let's talk about the second half. Richardson, I thought, was better in the second half. But there were just like a couple mistakes where the Colts shot themselves in the foot that had an impact on this game. I think the first one is, uh, Richardson kind of fumbling that mesh point where the
Mm.
ball hits Jonathan Taylor's thigh, and that wound up being a kind of a tough break there. Um, where like the Colts were driving in that situation, and um, it's the first possession of the second half. AR gets a couple quick completions. JT starts it off with a nice run. He hits AD Mitchell on a slant, then Richardson does. But then on third and fourth, the 35-yard line, yeah, it's that mesh point fumble. They lose 6 yards and they have to punt instead of either you keep the chains moving or you get a long field goal attempt from Matt Gay. Just one of those moments where it's a tough mistake to swallow because it's kind of one of those like unforced errors, Bill. And that was sort of the first one that set the Colts back a little bit. And then the Texans, by the way, went right down and they got a field goal on the ensuing possession that put them up 20-10 midway through the third quarter at that point.
Yeah, it was points off the board. That's how I look at it. As far as they stopped themselves. They made some mistakes out there. And then when you're playing a game like this, you can't make those mistakes. You have to take advantage of all the opportunities you have. You're moving the ball down the field, you're driving the ball. You had a few plays, you're continuing to drive. and making some plays. And if you could have got just 3 points, that's better than nothing, better than a punt. But they didn't turn the ball over, so that was a good thing. But you kind of took some points off the board, and you hope you get 7, but definitely if you had kept on going, definitely more than likely we got 3 points. So that was a big swing. And then as the Texans went down there and they got a field goal, so that's a 6 point swing right there. So I thought that was another one coming out. Didn't really help the momentum for the Colts as far as not getting any points out of it. So a lot of times you have to take advantage of those opportunities. When you start moving the ball, you have to try to take advantage of those opportunities and not make those mistakes where you hurt yourself. And that's some of the things that the Colts have to clean up moving forward.
All right, before we talk about the next issue that the Colts kind of ran into in the second half, one which I don't know if it was the right call. We'll see. We talk about it. Real quick, a word from our friends at Sony. This NFL season, feel every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones, the official headphones of the Indianapolis Colts. With premium noise cancellation, you're in the zone. No distractions, just pure football. Whether you're in your living room or on the go, you'll never miss a beat with Sony headphones. All right, Bill. So let's go talk about the next drive the Colts had, where they drive right back down the field. Again, you kind of get sparked by another Jonathan Taylor run to start the drive. You get the Colts actually punt on this drive. Houston gets called for offside. That turns a 4th and 8 into a 4th and 3. Richardson gains 12 yards. Awesome play call, great design on the kind of the QB sweep the Colts had near midfield. And then the Jonathan Taylor rips off a big run to get the Colts down to the 10-yard line. And this call that the officials made on pass interference on Michael Pittman Jr., it's the same concept the Colts ran to get the Downs touchdown. It's a scissors concept at about where's the ball starting at? Starting at about the 13-yard line. It's a scissors concept at
Yep.
about 12 yards of depth, which is about what the Colts ran to get the Downs touchdown. And Michael Pittman Jr. runs in to he runs into Lassiter. But I I didn't see this as Pittman trying to block him. I just saw it as this is what the concept is. It's like a pretty standard scissors concept, which is a post and a corner, and like I don't know, or a double post. I don't like
Mhm.
I don't I don't think this was pass interference. I don't know. I don't know. Like Michael Pittman Jr. is running his route, and all of a sudden, oh, there's Lassiter again. So Pierce is wide open. But like the weird thing about this, so Richardson gets outside the pocket, he finds Pierce, and as soon as Pierce catches the ball, the official throws the flag, and I'm like, wait, did Pierce go out of bounds and not reestablish himself? And then they call the PI on Pierce initially, then they change it to Pittman, like just a weird play, um, and a big play in the scheme of this game because then it brought up 2nd and 23 and like you're not doing anything on that. Um, Richardson checked himself out of the game after the second down play. Bill, I didn't. He said he was just kind of out of breath, like he had been running a lot. And I mean, you look at the second down play, and yeah, he ran a lot on that, and then he also ran a lot on the second down play. So I don't know. I don't think it was that big of a deal. Like guys in the locker room didn't seem to think it was like all that big of a deal. Um, but again, that was another one of those like errors that, I don't know if it's necessarily on Michael Pittman Jr. Bill, but one of those issues, one of those situations where a touchdown there and you're talking about that might be the difference in the game. Instead, the Colts have to settle for a field goal there.
Yeah, there's a difference there as in regards to the points, of course, there. But I think on that play, what you saw and what happened was when Pittman did run into the defender, he had his arms up and he pushed kind of blocked him, and that looked like he was blocking the guy. I know Pitt was probably trying to protect himself from the hit, as far as I should say, hit the collision that he was going to have, but it looked like he was kind of trying to pick the defender for Pierce to get open. So I think that's what the referees saw there, and that's why maybe they called it there as far as a pick play. Um, so that was unfortunate for the Colts, but I personally, I looked at it and saw it, I could see how the referees made that call and why they made that call. So I didn't really have a problem with that. But yes, it was a momentum swinger. Another play that was a momentum swinger. And then, usually when you see a player, you talk about AR coming off the field and was a little tired there. Usually when you see a player tap their helmet, that's what happens. I know when I played as a wide receiver, you tap your helmet and you want to come out of the game because you're tired, not because you really want to come out, but you're tired and you think that maybe you can't help your team out there in the football field. So you want to get someone else in there that's fresh. I know wide receivers do it. I know tight ends do it. I know running backs do it. So I'm assuming he was tired, and I think that's what Shane said, that he was exhausted and he was tired. I think that's what he said as well. So he came out for a play or two. But that was a momentum swinger as far as not getting that touchdown by Pierce. So those things happen. You got to try to overcome those things as a team. If you want to be a good football team, overcome those things and try to make the best of those situations and hopefully correct it so it won't happen in the future, but also try to capitalize on those plays so you can go down and get touchdowns instead of field goals. So another play where maybe took some points off the board right there by that play. But hopefully they'll learn from that and they can get better and move forward. As I said earlier, move forward each and every week and get better by the time you get to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a 3rd and 23 that he subbed out for. It
Yeah.
wasn't going to do it. The Colts are going to hand off anyway. And like, if this is the focus that folks are having on and to like criticize Anthony Richardson in this game, I think that misses the point. Like, I don't think this is a very big deal compared to, if you want to look at some of the other issues he had in this game, or the Colts offense had in this game, that's probably a little more fair game than this. I don't know. I don't
Yeah. I mean,
it doesn't do anything for me.
I think we need to look at the accuracy and consistency of Anthony Richardson. To me, that's the thing I think we should be talking about
Yeah.
and hopefully working on to get better
Mhm.
right now, because we know he's a good athlete. We know he can go out there and make some big plays, but right now he just needs to have the consistency out there in the football field and the accuracy as far as to help this offense score some points and sustain some drives out there in the football field.
Now, I will say, the as this game went on, like you look at kind of the middle of this game, or the middle of, I guess, like the third, fourth of the second half, and Richardson, the drive that ended with the touchdown, the Jonathan Taylor 1 yard touchdown, I thought that was a really encouraging possession from Richardson. He ripped some throws with accuracy. He gave
Mhm.
his receivers a chance to make some yards after the catch. And that 3rd and 6 throw he had to Pierce, where he stepped up to avoid pressure, was a really
Mhm.
good play. And then so you get 1st and 10 on the 25, and he takes 3 shots to the end zone. The first one to Pittman gets broken up. The second one, it goes through Tyler Goodson's hands. It was a great throw.
He
Like the
just
Colts
dropped it.
clearly, you're right, Bill. They clearly had a matchup there that they liked with Goodson on, I think, a linebacker. He beat him. Richardson threw the ball with accuracy. If that throw is completed, it's like, oh man, he's back. What a throw. But then he goes back and he rips that throw to Downs that nearly results in a touchdown. And I thought that was such an encouraging possession of like, okay, hey, this is what it can look like when he gets in a rhythm and he gets a little bit of confidence going in terms of how he can throw the football. That, all right, yeah, my guy just dropped it in the end zone. I'm going to take another shot to the end zone and we're going to make it work on one of these. I thought that was really encouraging.
Yes, it is, because you right there you see that, okay, he can make those throws. That throw he made to Goodson was right there on the money. That was a nice throw. Goodson just dropped it. Okay. But if for a young quarterback to kind of put that out of his mind and then come back and then throw the ball to Josh Downs and Josh makes a nice catch there, that says a lot about Anthony. He didn't get defeated. by the drop pass. He was accurate on the pass to Goodson, and then he came back and hit Josh Downs and was accurate on the pass to Josh Downs. So to me, he has that process where, okay, it was a bad play. I forget about it. I just move on. Got to go to the next play. And those two passes right there shows that he can make those throws. I think that's what people sometimes, I should say, get frustrated about, because he can make those throws. He just has to do it on a more consistent basis. And hitting that throw to Josh was a nice catch by Josh. Big play, got him down there for JT to get the run, the 1 yard run, and get a score and a touchdown. And those are the things that, you hope you see more often as far as the Colts are concerned in their offense as they move forward and as Anthony plays and he can spread the ball around to different people and they can make the plays so they can score some points.
Yeah, I mean, for the record, this is the first three possessions of the second half. On those, Richardson went 7 of 11 for 80 yards. So better, like definitely better
Yes.
when he came out of halftime. The Colts did get a couple opportunities, though, to go down and tie or win this game, where you get the Joe Mixon fumble on the botched pitch. Um, Dio Dangbo, for a moment, looked like we had the biggest big man touchdown in Colts history right there. I mean, but then things kind of stalled out, and Houston, give them a lot of credit. They got a ton of pressure on Anthony Richardson on those last two drives that wound up resulting in the Colts not getting, even a Hail Mary pass off to try to win the football game. So, give Houston credit at the end. Their pass rush showed up. That's what that team is designed to do. You got Will Anderson, who's the third overall pick. You paid Danielle Hunter a bunch of money. You got Danico Autry, always plays like a freaking goblin against the Colts. That's what that front was supposed to do in those moments. And Houston, they got the better of the Colts in those moments up front.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. You want them if you have a defensive front like that, you want to be able to close games out by putting pressure on the quarterback, by sacking the quarterback, and give Houston credit. They closed the game out by putting pressure on the quarterback and not allowing him to make some plays down the field for them to win the game, as far as the Colts to win the game. So give Houston credit. That's what their defensive line is for, and that's why they drafted Will Anderson, and that's why they signed Danielle Hunter to the free agent contract and got him in there so they can have some guys that can close the game out and give them credit. That's what the Colts had when they had Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney to close games
Mhm.
out. So those guys did that. They closed the game out, and they sealed the win for the Texans.
Yeah, also this is kind of like a little like football nerd thing, but what Houston did, lining up just like overloading the or the right side with every single pass rusher, was a very creative option against a Hail Mary. Where like Richardson okay, hey, I see all these three guys over there, so I'm just going to try to buy time to my right, which I think is the natural decision there. But you get kind of the like Will Anderson's kind of like just hunting at that point, and there's no way like the Colts offensive line, that's a really tough thing to do there to try to
Yeah.
block him. Um, you almost think like Matt Eberflus is like, I should have been watching the what the Texans did at the end of that game to avoid what Jay Daniels did to us.
Yes.
Uh, you see some Hail Marys. I've never seen that before. So you got to give Houston some credit there to not even allow Richardson to get the Hail Mary off there. But yeah, Richardson on those last couple of drives was pressured on 4 of his 9 dropbacks, and he was sacked twice down the
Wow.
stretch.
Wow. Like I said, give Houston credit. It was very, very creative to put some pressure on him from one side to make him kind of get out of the pocket and then not allow him to get the pass off for that Hail Mary. So give the Texans credit. As I said, they have that front up there to close games out, and that's what they did. They closed the game out today against the Colts and gave them credit. The Texans right now are in the lead of the AFC South,
Mhm.
and you know what? They have a control of the AFC South at this moment, and we'll see what happens as the season goes on. But the thing for the Texans, I think, right now is they're probably concerned more about their health than anything else. keeping the guys healthy. I know Stephon Diggs got banged up, and they have some guys banged up right now, so I'm sure they're concerned about their health. But the Colts, from their viewpoint, they just have to go back to the drawing board, correct some mistakes, and find ways to get this offense moving down the field,
Hmm.
to get some points, to get Anthony into a rhythm where he feels comfortable out there, running the plays that he likes to run out there, so they can move the ball down the field and they can score some points. Because the defense did some nice things out there today. I thought they played hard, and they got some 3-and-outs against the Texans. So I give them credit for playing hard and doing some good things on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, real quick, I think there's some meat on the bone there with the Colts run game. Jonathan Taylor went over
Mhm.
100 yards today. I think, they're as the Colts get more reps with JT and AR in the backfield, I think you're going to see this run game continue to expand and be something that this team really leans into in the second half of the season. All right, before we talk about the defense, another quick break here on Instant Reaction presented by Sony. Bill, I travel a lot during the season, and I seriously,
Yes.
I can't live without these Sony 1000XM5 noise canceling headphones. This is the first road trip I had with them. Our friends at Sony
Hmm.
were nice enough to send us a couple pairs. Bill, you're wearing them too right
Yes.
now. And my goodness, like traveling with these on an airplane is legitimately like life-changing. I I don't like flying, but with these
Hmm.
things, I was like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in a car. It's amazing. You can't hear anything. So I love these things. I was able to get a ton of work done, transcribe some interviews with like low quality audio from the Colts locker room, but I heard them perfect through these things, even amidst the noise of an airplane or a bus. The premium noise cancellation that these headphones provide keeps me in the zone whether I'm relaxing or I'm working. And I also was able to get a little bit of relaxation done on the plane after
Oh.
I finished working, listen to a little bit of music. And boy, I mean, seriously, I know Sony's a sponsor of this podcast, but my goodness, I can't get enough of these headphones. Like, I love these things. So, whether I'm at home, these are great for hearing you, Bill, right now as we're potting. They're keeping me locked into our podcast. Or whether I'm just hanging around the house, take it from me. These are my favorite headphones I've ever owned. The Sony 1000 XM headphones are the official headphones of the Indianapolis Colts. All
Yes,
right,
and
back
they are.
here. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. But go ahead.
No, no,
No,
no. Go ahead.
no. Just and they're comfortable. I mean, I have them on
Yeah.
right now, and they just feel very comfortable. Like I don't have any headphones at all. So on at
I
all.
mean,
So I
yeah.
they're very comfortable, and thank you, Sony.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look again, we are presented by Sony, and our friends at Sony were nice enough to send me these, but like I like seriously, I'm telling everyone, I was like, these are amazing. Great headphones. All right, thank you, Sony. And we are back here on the Instant Reaction podcast presented by Sony. Bill, let's talk about the defense. Uh my goodness, did they get after CJ Stroud today? Early on in this football game, the Colts really got a lot of pressure on CJ Stroud. You saw DeForest Buckner get a sack, Dio Dangbo get a sack. But the thing, Bill, I want to start by talking about, Gus Bradley was in his bag in terms of the looks he was giving. You saw a lot of simulated pressures where you had Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed mugged up on the line, like over the A gap, and you didn't know if both of them were dropping out, if one of them was dropping out. You had Laiatu Latu, Kwity Paye drop into coverage. You had Kenny Moore the second blitz a couple of times. I loved what Gus Bradley did in this game to try to confuse CJ Stroud, and it really did have an impact early in this game. The Texans only had that one long scoring drive. Otherwise, it was pretty tough sledding for Houston's offense.
Yeah, Gus gave them some different looks. I'm sure some looks that they haven't seen before from the Colts, and it kind of confused their offensive line because the Colts got some pressure on C.J. Stroud, got him out of the pocket. Sometimes I know sometimes they were designed rollouts by the Texans, but sometimes also the Colts pressured him to get him out of the pocket as well. So saw some things. They got a couple of sacks. The Colts did, and so that was good to see that they were able to get some pressure on CJ Stroud. And that's what you have to do with CJ Stroud. You have to get him out of the pocket, get some pressure on him now. Give CJ Stroud some credit. When he gets out of the pocket, he looks to throw the ball down the field. Doesn't look really to run the ball. And he made some nice throws on the run out there. But I like what I saw from the Colts defense, getting after CJ Stroud, getting a couple of sacks and putting some pressure on him.
Yeah, the Colts generated pressure, Bill, on 50% of CJ Stroud's dropbacks in the first half before that last possession, the one play, 7 yard. So I mean, you're talking about half of a quarterback's dropbacks. That's going to have an impact. And I thought Houston did some good things coming out in the second half, where they were able to play with the lead a little bit, and they were able to kind of mute the impact of the Colts pass rush just a little bit more than they were in the first half. But still, you saw a lot of possessions end with a guy in CJ Stroud's face. And it wasn't just that they pressured him, Bill, they were hitting him. Dio Dangbo had three quarterback hits. DeForest Buckner had two. Grover Stewart had that one where it looked like CJ got a little bit banged up.
Yes.
This was a very impactful game for this Colts front, and I don't think it was a coincidence that it came with DeForest Buckner coming back for the first time since week 2.
Yeah, I'm sure the guys on the defensive line were happy to get DeForest back up there, one of the leaders up there, one of the guys that, can change a game. He is a game changer for the Colts on that defensive front. So, he came back and I thought he had a good game. I thought he played well. DeForest, he had what, three tackles and two quarterback hits and a tackle for a loss. So give him credit. And he also had a sack there. So DeForest came back and made his presence felt out there in the football field. So it was good to have him back there. And, hopefully as the weeks go on, he gets his win back up and he'll be ready to, go some more and get some more plays out there and help the defense. And hopefully we'll see this for the defense going forward as far as putting pressure on the quarterbacks and doing some different things to kind of give a different look to the quarterback so they can confuse the quarterback and make it difficult for them to get the ball down the field to their weapons that they like to get them to, whoever the Colts are playing.
The Colts run defense in this game was definitely better than they were in game 1 against Houston, but I did think Joe Mixon got a little he was able to have some success late in this game
Yes.
that was really impactful. He only averaged 4.5 yards per carry in the second half. So it was a little bit higher than he was at in the first half. It wasn't certainly the explosive level that he was at back in week 1. But, there were some moments where, you kind of wish the Colts could have got a stop or just limit him to 3 yards instead of 5 yards or 6 yards. But, give Houston some credit. They got to some good things in their run game in the second half. But look, the Colts almost went down and still won this game because Dio Dangbo, he said there was kind of a formation tell that they were going to run this kind of pitch play to Mixon. So CJ Stroud's pitch to Mixon is a little bit inaccurate. This is when the Texans, by the way, are down inside the Colts red zone with a chance to seal the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's an inaccurate pitch, but even if it was accurate, Dio was there. Dio was going to make a big play right there, no matter what. It just so turned out he was able to grab the football and almost turn it into a touchdown. Dio Dangbo's playing some really, really good football right now. And I think he really benefited from having DeForest Buckner back in there. I think Leatu Latu benefited from having DeForest Buckner back in there and Kwity Paye. It's not a coincidence that these three defensive ends on the Colts benefited from having a guy in Buck who can push the pocket with consistency. Because on Buck's sack, for instance, Latu gets pressure off the edge, but Stroud steps up, but then there's Buck ready to just like smother him. That wasn't there for this Colts defense prior to Buckner coming back this week.
Yeah, I mean, you have it when you get someone that could push the pocket up the middle and be a presence in the middle for quarterbacks so they can't step up into the pocket, so to speak. And then if they can't step up, well, the next thing they know is they're trying to get around the edges. But when the guys on the edge put pressure on them and close that pocket, then it give them an opportunity to hopefully get a sack. And that's what happened with Dio getting the sack there. He got a nice sack, beat his guy pretty clean to get a sack.
Kenyon Green.
Well, yeah, he had some trouble. Let's just say that he had some trouble today. So give Dio credit for that, and it was a nice sack, and that's what you want to see. Now having DeForest back helps that defensive line quite a bit, and hopefully, everyone can stay healthy moving forward, and you can see some more of those things going forward as far as games coming up for the Colts. And give Dio credit. I think Dio is playing very well, doing what he needs to do out there on the field. I thought he made a nice play on that play of Mixon. I thought he was right there in the backfield with them. Kind of met him there as he was kind of bobbling the ball, and then for him to have the uh, just to have the knowledge and the wherewithal to just get the ball and grab the ball, and then Mixon just touched him enough to get him down there, so he was down by contact, but it was a good play by Dio to get the ball and to understand what they were trying to do, and that comes from film study. So that shows what can happen if you watch film, study, and have an understanding of what they're doing. And then when the time comes in the game, you can make those plays. You make the plays, and that was big for Dio and big for the Colts at the moment.
All right. Well, the Colts, for all the good that we saw in this game, there was enough that did not go the Colts' way, and the Colts need to clean up that led to a 23-20 loss to the Houston Texans on Sunday at NRG Stadium. Bill, you and I will be back early Monday morning at some point after the Colts play the Minnesota Vikings. We're not going to record at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Sorry to say, we'll find some time early next Monday morning to get everyone a podcast here on the Colts Audio Network and on YouTube. Again, we are brought to you by Sony here on Instant Reaction. For Bill Brooks, I'm JJ Stankevitz. Talk to you next week after the Colts play the Minnesota Vikings in prime time on Sunday Night Football. So long.